Internet? It's Andrew Michael, and welcome to today's Power Rangers Dino Fury Episode 3 review. Overall, I thought this was a good episode, and overall, I thought that the simple and effective storytelling they did for this episode was quite well. Now, before we get into the full review, I would, of course, like to shout out my Patreons. If you would like to get a shout out here on the channel, make sure you go to the patreon.com/AndrewMichael2, and if you pledge for $3 or more, you will get a shout out here on the channel and more. So, we start off with this episode called Lost Signal. Zayto thought he had a signal from his home planet, Ravcon, and so this whole episode was two things. It was like Zayto trying to get in contact with his old planet to see if anyone was still out there. Meanwhile, we had the Monster of the Week, who literally used her eyes to blind people anytime someone got to see her eyes, like Medusa from the mythology era. So, in this episode, we also see Solon trying to use Zayto's little necklace that he got from his mother before he became a knight. So that's how he got the necklace. And then try to go and try to connect to Ravcon to see who was out there. They have Amelia and Ollie trying to help out, trying to see if they can indeed get to a connection to that planet. So then what they do is we see Amelia trying to say, well, maybe we go see a psychic to see if that helps. But then Ollie says, well, let's try to go to the observatory. So they go with Amelia to see a psychic and to see if it makes any sense. So while they go there, they're at this little fairground, if you will, which is kind of fitting for a psychic. And so the psychic's like, oh, well, this gym is so powerful and so wise. And then Ollie and Amelia, I like the bantering they had together. So Ollie says, hey, me and Amelia, we are dating. We are in love with each other. And the psychic says, oh, you're going to spend so much time together. And it was all fake because Ollie and Amelia are not in love with each other. I love the bantering that goes on in these episodes as well. So then Jane's robot from episode 2, which means we still have this. Jane's robot, they're walking around and Jane's trying to use her psychic abilities to try to find Sporix. And what was so funny was she was in a blindfold and she walks up going into a bus and it's like she goes away, but then Jane's robot finds Sporix and that's how we get our Monster of the Week, who's named Vipira, if that's it. But anyways, that's the Monster of the Week. It's pretty much Medusa. And so the Red Ranger and the Rangers go to check out this Monster of the Week. And the Red Ranger sees the eyes and gets frozen. And that gives Vipira a chance to take out the Red Ranger for the time being. The Blue and the Pink Ranger try to fight with their eyes covered. And what was interesting is that Mucus was also there as well. So then we see that Mucus and Vipira head off to go do their plan. Then Ollie takes Zayto and Amelia to the observatory and they don't find a signal for whatever Zayto's necklace was doing. Meanwhile, Amelia gets a thing to Buzz Blast us down, and Medusa then goes and uses the signal from her eyes to freeze everyone in the city except for, and I found this was interesting, Zolon, who is basically their helper for the season. Zolon was not frozen because her eyes were cyber eyes, meaning that when she saw Medusa with her eyes, Zolon did not freeze. So she was able to unfreeze Zayto, who was at Command Center. So then Zayto and Zolon come up with a plan to try to take down Medusa and try to see if they can connect to his home planet. And that's where they say, let's use a power key to try and take down Vipira. So they take this power key. So then Zayto uses the Sonic Dino key to blind himself to fight Vipira. This was the preview clip that we saw yesterday. So Zayto, blindfolded, then fights Vipira and slashes the computer that's putting out the signal of Vipira blinding everyone. So they destroy that. Ollie and Amelia then get the signal that Red Ranger's in trouble, and they go to fight Vipira. And then Vipira then jumps down and turns into basically the bigger version of Vipira, and this is where we see our Megazord fight. We see the T-Rex champion show up first. He goes to try to fight Medusa, but he can't because if he looks at the big version of Medusa, the Zord freezes. This gives the Pink and Blue Ranger a chance to use some more power keys, and then we see the Pink Ranger Zord and the Blue Ranger Zord. They hop into action, and then we see the Megazord fight. And then basically they take out the big monster, and the slogan for the victory is Dino Fury victory. Simple, yet it doesn't have to be so over the top. I like this as well. And then Void Knight tries to take the Sporix, because if you remember from last episode, if you fight the bigger version, that doesn't mean that that monster is completely destroyed. So Void Knight then tries to take it, but the Rangers get there first, so they take that Sporix back to Command Center, and that Sporix is not going to go to Area 62. The last thing we see is Zolan use Zolan's necklace, and they put that in whatever they made, the signal thing. So they got a signal with that necklace, and then Zayto puts a signal out there to Rathcon to see if anyone hears him. Overall, I thought this was a good episode. I'm going to give this episode a 4.5 out of 5 episode. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest episode ever. But I did like the fact that it was simple. Everything made sense as to why they used it and why they did it. And I do like the fact that this storytelling is not going over the top. I like the fact that they're keeping things simple. They're keeping the storytelling, just make it make sense, and that's exactly what they did. What did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more reviews like this, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. And until next time, I'm Andrew Michael, and I will see you in the next one. Go, go, Dino Fury!